Hi there, my name is Vidhu and welcome back to a new video. Antinatalism literally means an argument against bringing new life. It's a philosophy that says that it's morally wrong to bring new life into this world. That is, you shouldn't have children. Or that it's morally wrong to want and have children when you know as a human being or an individual alive that you will suffer in your lifetime. So wouldn't that mean that the human race would go extinct if you don't have more children? Yes, and that is one of the end points of antinatalism, a phased extinction of the human race. More like how all the other members of the Homo genus disappeared off the surface of Earth. But even after this dark end point or goal of antinatalism and an extremely dismal and nihilistic viewpoint of life, people are not able to, or people cannot discredit this philosophy because of its ethical significance and its ethical high ground. How so, you ask? David Benatar, the giver of the antinatalism philosophy, says there is a crucial asymmetry between the good and bad in a person's lifetime. And it goes like this. Presence of pain is bad. Absence of pleasure is bad. And absence of pleasure is not bad unless there is somebody for whom this absence is a deprivation. I hope that makes sense. So, by never existing, you are never having any pleasure, but also never having any pain. So, denying or not having pleasure is okay, but having pain is much worse. Therefore, you should not bring life into this world when you know that they are going to suffer, even though they will have pleasure in their lives. So, this is called the asymmetry principle. If you are not very clear on this, please go and check out my previous videos on antinatalism. I assure you that you will understand it better. So anyway, human beings or sentient beings will have to endure more suffering than pleasure in their lifetime. So you know this as a person living in this world, and if you are subjecting another human being to the same fate willingly, then that is morally wrong. Especially when they did not consent to being born. They never asked you to give them life. You decided to bring them into this world. So you are directly responsible for their pain or suffering. So you are morally wrong and shouldn't do that. I have asked this in the previous video as well. So if you can find a good argument against this asymmetry principle, please let me know in the comment section. I'm eager to hear from you. The born and unborn, these two states become very important distinctions from an antinatalistic point of view, and therefore this video as well. The unborn, that is your future child, will avoid enduring all this pain and suffering by just not being born. Therefore, it's in your future child's interest that it is not born. So if you knew that, then would you bring that child to life? I know there are two types of people getting freaked out here. People who want children and people who don't want children. Anybody who is freaking out, stop. To continue. But aren't all the living already suffering? What about them? Well, they're already born. So by being born, it's not in your interest to die. We all want to live as long as we can, right? So antinatalism always considers the interest of the subject that we are talking about. And because the living wants to live, continue to live, they should live out their life, but without causing suffering to any life, especially new life. The comment section are your place to agree or disagree. Personally, I so disagree with antinatalism and I practically hate this philosophy. I have my own personal reasons. But no matter how much I tried, I could not refute the asymmetry argument or the antinatalistic argument. But then I saw this conversation between Alex O'Connor and David Benatar himself. It's a very interesting conversation. So if you want to check it out, please do. I will leave the link in the description, but don't skip this video for that. Voice doesn't go. Anyway, in that video, Alex O'Connor, previously known as the Cosmic Sceptic, raises this argument which David Benatar cannot override or refute. So here it goes. An unborn child is a potential human being, and therefore its potential pain and pleasure matter. But so is a human being. If my future child is a potential human being, then my future self is also a potential human being. So if it's not in the interest of my future child to be alive and endure all that suffering, then the same argument would mean that it's not in the interest of me as a potential human being or my future self to continue existing when I know that my sufferings are going to triumph my pleasures. So then would it mean that it's morally wrong for me to continue existing, or for any human being for that matter? So wouldn't antinatalism also mean that wanting to continue to exist, or that being alive or life is a morally wrong thing? Wouldn't extinction begin from those who are still alive, not just the potentially alive human beings? We know the counter arguments to this, which is that it is not in the interest of the currently living to die, and we don't want to stop living. But there is a loophole, and that is, what if we can end a life without it being aware of it? If we ever discover a way to kill somebody without their awareness, then they do not feel no pain or fear, or they are not aware if they exist or not exist anymore. And therefore the antinatalism argument still makes sense in that case. And obviously, upon hearing this argument, David Benatar is really freaked out because he does not want to kill off people in the name of antinatalism. So let's see what his counter argument would be. Very flustered, David Benatar's counter argument was that it's an Epicurean argument, and that he does not want to bring Epicureanism into an antinatalist argument. And
well, of course, you can accept that view if you're an Epicurean, but then we're having a whole nother debate about the badness of death.
His philosophy is not based on Epicureanism, and therefore you have to be very careful about what you speak. So on. So what is the Epicurean view of life and death? Death cannot touch us because while we still exist, death is not present. And when death is present, we no longer exist. So because death cannot touch us, it cannot be bad for the person who is dying. Fear is rational only for something bad. So Epicurus concludes that fearing death is pointless. It's not the issue of dying like we discussed before. Dying is obviously horrible, but the dead or the state of being dead does not harm you in any way. So you should not fear or be wary of death. And it is called no subject of harm argument. More importantly, if death causes you no pain when you are dead, it's foolish to allow the fear of it cause you pain now. David Benatar, by saying that you cannot bring an Epicurean argument into the antinatalistic argument, he basically says that you have to consider axiomatically that death is a bad thing for the person who dies.
I reached the conclusion that death is bad for the person who dies. I can't give you a mathematical proof for that. I can't give you a knockdown argument for that. But I do think that the weight of considerations support that view rather than the Epicurean view.
I'm not saying that death can be a good thing, but according to antinatalism, birth or being born is a bad thing, or bringing new life is a bad thing. And we obviously know why that is, because they have given profound, very logically sound arguments for that. So then why is death bad according to antinatalism? This question becomes pertinent in case of antinatalism because you are trying to refute, break and oblige people to do something, to not do something that is axiomatically a positive thing or a good thing. We have always considered new life or birth of a life as a positive thing. And that axiom you're trying to break and convince people to not do that. So if that is the case, how can you axiomatically say something else which is equally significant as birth? There is birth and then there is death, right? So it's perfectly right to ask, and I think quite obligatory for an antinatalist to tell you why death without the awareness of the dead a bad thing. By bad we mean morally wrong, and by good we mean morally right. By this video I am in no way advocating suicide, death or antinatalism for that matter. There was a time when I was blissfully ignorant of antinatalism argument ever existing, and of course I believe that children are precious gifts of God. We are incredibly blessed as parents or potential parents to raise a new generation or to raise new life in a good enough way. And I also believe that I do not give life to anybody or that I bring new life into this world, just that a divine act of life happens through me. The divine birth of new life happens through me. And that is what I believe that motherhood and parenthood truly is. Not a narcissistic standpoint that I am the person who gives life to people. But obviously I know that these kinds of divine or spiritual arguments do not work in a logical reasoning setup. That science has no God or divinity attached to it. And that is why I am presenting this argument to you, which has been satisfactory enough for me to get a good night's sleep after knowing about antinatalism. Now, if you are a person who is subscribed to the antinatalist philosophy, maybe this counter argument is not enough to convince you to rethink or reconsider your loyalty to this philosophy. But at least it informs you how dark and dismal this philosophy truly can be and what kind of a slippery slope it really is. Because if you just change the nature or the position of potential human being, everything changes tremendously. And the main proponent of antinatalism, David Benatar himself, has not been able to refute it, as far as I know. And once again, I want to stress upon the fact that I consider life precious, and I'm not advocating in any way that you should not be a parent or that you should die or that death is a good thing. Okay. I hope you like this video. If you did, please hit the like button and let me know in the comment section what you think of antinatalism and the counter arguments against it, and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Thank you. Hi guys, and here is the first book I have written, Life in a Ziploc Bag. It's the story of 4 teens living in a city and the impactful reality of modern life, where we often chase love, intoxication and adventure. Does it seem like a story that you would be interested in? If so, please check it out on Amazon or Flipkart. And it's also available for direct buying from the publisher itself. All these links are given in the description. Grab your copy now. Thank you.